Hello everyone, this is Dr. Gaines at the Mehlville School District. As we kind of get close to wrapping up summer school, we wanted to provide you with a little bit of a data update as well as talk a little bit about the upcoming school year. So going back to May, the Board of Education had adopted a plan around how we would mask and approach summer school. And that's laid out here in the table. And the board also set the metric of the CDC's low transmission threshold and meeting that for 3 days. And if we did that for 3 consecutive days, we would move to a mask optional environment. The caveat with that is school buses. Currently, there's a federal mandate for masks on school buses. And we kind of went into the summer knowing that any changes in vaccination protocols or any updated guidance could change that plan a little bit. So let's dig into the data. So this is kind of our most complete raw data piece that we have. We've got what's been happening within our zip codes going back to April 6th of 2020. And we look at it in a daily rate, a 3-day average, a 7-day average, and a 14-day average. So that's a pretty big length of data, so it's hard to take a look at. So if we just kind of look at it since April 1 of this year, we can see that decline that we had through the second half of May into early June, and then we can see that things started to rise in mid-June. If we look at the 14-day sum of cases going back to late April of 2020, we can see the spike last summer, we can see the spike that we saw in the fall, we can see those precipitous declines that we had, and now we can see this tick back up that we've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks. If we look at percent change in daily cases, we've always said this is kind of erratic, but of late, we've really seen percent changes staying above 0 and really above 10%. If we look at it just since June, we can see that we've mostly been above in a positive percent change in daily cases, which is not good, since kind of that mid-June area. If we look at county transmission rate, remember transmission rate of 1 or below is where we want to be. And we were there for a good time earlier this spring, but since about June 12th or so, we've been above, and now we're almost as high as we were kind of into last summer. So the last few days, we've been at about 1.3. So we can look at that in a narrower band, a closer time frame. We can see that in that early May range and into early June, we were looking good on transmission rate, but we went above 1, and we've really been above 1 over the last few weeks, but especially here in July. If we look at positivity rate, this is something again that had shown significant decline and steady, but of late has been showing an increase. And we can see that what's been happening with the county positivity rate since the 1st of June, and over the last 3 or 4 days, we've been above 10%. Each week we've looked at the data trends. We look at a 7-day trend and we look at a 14-day trend. And we can see that over the last couple of weeks, we've been increasing more than we've seen decreasing or stability. Over the last 2 weeks when we looked at the data, this is data we look at every Wednesday, all of the metrics are increasing. And then we kind of do a monthly analysis. The June trends were increasing after seeing decreasing trends during the month of May. We also have access to some new data. We have been able to access that through the summer, and that's with vaccination status within the community. So we can look at what percentage of our residents are fully vaccinated in each of our 3 zip codes. There's also in that report how many people need to be vaccinated to reach 75%, and we can see the fully vaccinated percentage by age band in the county. And one of the things that we've noticed in looking at the data is that before vaccinations were available, youth cases accounted for just under 15% of the cases in our community. But as vaccinations became available in a tiered manner, we've seen those cases shift somewhat to youth. And since mid-March, youth now account for about 22% of the cases within our community. We can also see what's happening in the age bands in terms of case rates, and over the last couple of weeks, this is the period of June 22nd to July 5th. You can see for the 60 and up, that's been fairly stable, but the younger, under 60, we've seen increases in those groups. Now, I mentioned earlier that the board set CDC metrics of low transmission as our threshold to move to a mask optional environment when we were there for 3 consecutive days. So that means a case rate of 9 or less and positivity rate under 5%. So what we saw was we were getting really close to meeting that metric in early, the first 10 days or so of June, and then things started heading the other way and have increased significantly, and our case rates are now around 130. So if we look at how we've compared with those CDC metrics over time, going back to April, you can see how we've kind of moved. We hit that May into early June. We hit a long period where we were moderate transmission on the case rate, but we were meeting the threshold for the positivity rate. We were hoping we would get to that threshold on the case rate. Things started turning the other way, and this week is our first week where both the case rate and the positivity rate have met that standard that the community is in a period of high transmission. As we look forward to the 2021 school year, we've been engaged with lots of conversations with our colleagues and health professionals. So on Monday, July 19th, we had a conference with state health folks, and at that time we were being told that they would be releasing new guidance by the end of the week. So it's Friday, I'm sure, and it's very possible that we'll get guidance from the state after we've recorded this video. We're also expecting updated guidance from St. Louis County soon. We're not sure when that's going to happen. So anticipate that we'll be providing more details on the start of the 2021-2022 school year that first week of August. Our overarching goal, however, for the school year is to have kids in school as much as possible. So as of today, we anticipate that we will start fully 5 days a week right off the bat and hope to be able to maintain that throughout the school year. Now, any guidance could change that, but our overarching goal is to keep kids in school as much as possible. Going back to our teleconference with the state earlier in the week, we heard from Governor Parson, and he was really encouraging folks to consider getting a vaccination. There are vaccination clinics offered throughout the state, throughout our region. So he was asking school folks that if we're communicating with our families to make sure to pass that along. So I wanted to be sure to do that. So I hope you have a great last few weeks of the summer here. We're about a month out from the start of the school, and we'll be providing some more information out to families in about 10 days or so. Thanks, everybody.